One. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to this night's edition of PowerHouse Fence Show. We got a fantastic guest here this evening. I'm Zach Shue, the other host. This is Dan, the host. I guess, Dan, you want to do the honors of interrupting?
Interrupting everybody?
Yeah.
So as normal, we're presented by Memphis Fence Company, Memphis Fence Manufacturing in Sao Paulo. And like Zach said, we got a special guest tonight, Randy. You can see him over there. He's been a big part of the Memphis Fence family here, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So we are actually live right now, and there's a little banner scrolling across the bottom that you could use if you wanted to call in. So do we have any old business we need to talk about?
I had no idea I was elected secretary of this committee.
Well, now you know your role.
Right.
Yeah.
Step in line.
Haven't been taking any minutes over the course of the show.
The only thing I have down is any updates on processes. Not really any updates on that, I don't think.
No, it's still really, honestly, man, I'm just kind of floundering around figuring out what doesn't work. We did have a big shipment of ornamental fence panels go out to Jackson yesterday, I guess. It's been kind of wild getting that stuff staged. They're 8 foot tall. They're 7.5 feet wide with 10-foot long posts attached. So figuring out just really how to stack, how to manage, how many can we stack and pick up safely, which was a big concern this time. In the past, I've kind of winged it and said, 25 in a stack's going to do. And we just
shipping them without damaging them is a whole thing too.
Maybe not. Now's not the time to tell you, but we damaged a few.
So we learned. Fortunately, it's our own fence that we were shipping and installing ourselves. So we're learning.
This is, round one, basically, of the, our venture into the manufacturing thing, which is what we've talked a little bit about. The MFC logo behind me is about trying to manufacture fence panels here, ship them out across, immediately in local states that touch Tennessee, but then hopefully across the United States.
Yeah, so probably not a good idea to tell people that we damaged them when we're loading them on the truck.
Well, I don't think they buy those. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if it's not worth putting up, it comes back here.
Yeah, we'll make it right.
So that's how I look at that,
So
I'm pretty excited about the guest tonight. So I've worked here for a while. I've known Randy for a little while through working at Memphis Fence Company, and I just really appreciate Randy's steadfastness, I guess, if you say that. He's always here. Basically, he's here when I get here and he's here when I leave, and that's a pretty cool thing to have. And just the value of having an open door with a guy with so many years in construction management is what I really look to him for. That kind of cool-headedness approach to most situations, which if anybody works in the construction industry, fence industry, there's a lot of unforeseen things that we encounter. We talked about broken equipment. Sometimes you hit a pipe, sometimes whether it's marked or located or not, just to alleviate us, we do locate, but sometimes you run into that stuff, and Randy deals with a lot. He has a lot more employees than I have and consistently maintains a pretty cool vibe, or just relaxed vibe and not real high-headed losing his shit. And that's a pretty cool thing to look to for a guy like me who's pretty new to this level of management,
So about anything that we can throw at him, he's probably seen it before and done it before and knows how to handle it. So
that's right.
That's where that whole level-headed coolness comes from.
That's where that white hair comes from.
That's right.
So
you're saying the goatee wasn't always gray?
No, everything used to be black, and I used to be skinny, believe it or not. Those were the good old days.
Something to look forward to, I guess.
Hey, Ilaria, I sent you a message. Okay. So we're scrambling around trying to go to Vegas, right?
Yeah,
we are going to the FWA show. Was it the Fence and Security Expo? We'll be there.
Fence and Security Expo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be there next week. Booth 817 if you want to stop by and say hello and meet us. But so we we kind of missed the deadline on a few things that we were planning to take with us on account of this load of fence that was going out to a customer. We had to do something to pay the bills instead of doing the trade show stuff, but we're going to be there. We're going to make the most out of it and look forward to meeting a bunch of people. And if you come by there, Zach will sign an autograph for you or give you a high five or something, I'm sure.
Sure. We got some hideous shirts, so we'll be pretty visible.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan, we have some fantastically lovely
I
shirts
love
that
'em.
Dan
I love
designed
'em.
personally.
They're so hideous, but I love them. So
They're about the texture of a shower curtain. So.
Yeah, right. So the video we played before of our yard, kind of doing that walkthrough, was junk. We screwed that up. Sorry. We're still learning as we talked about, but anyway, so I think that's enough of old business kind of stuff. Let's talk about Randy some. We've kind of introduced him a little bit. So Randy, you started here working for my grandfather in 1984, right?
Absolutely. My hire date is June the 9th, 1984. My first day, full day of work was June the 11th, 1984. And I believe you and I share an anniversary there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, different days, different times.
Is that
Good
your
times.
birthday?
That's my wedding anniversary.
Oh, wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So
I guess I just want to point out
but
that
yet he remembers his wedding anniversary and keeps forgetting the fact I lived. Man, it doesn't matter.
they
yeah.
coincide, man. They
I'm
coincide.
terrible. I'm terrible. If my wife didn't make a big deal out of her birthday and anniversaries and everything, I'd forget them too. But you know,
Well, you will get better at it.
She
I
makes
can
sure to
promise you
remind me
that.
of those when they're coming up.
You're going to get better at it.
So Randy's worked here almost longer than I've been alive.
Oh, he has worked here longer than I've been alive.
Right.
So he saw me born.
That's right. I was here when you were born.
Yeah. Well,
I remember when your dad told me that they were expecting you. That's a big day.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I look up to Randy a lot.
Mm.
He's been a big part of my life.
You're like 7 inches shorter than me. So
yeah, that's right. As with most people. It's pretty common. So you've seen 3 generations of Turby Bills come through here.
That's right.
Are you so my son Webb
Uh-huh.
is generation number 4.
Right.
So
I'm hoping I can whip that one in shape.
try to get one of them right.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, this has been a good journey. I don't want anybody to make light of it. We're going to tell some jokes here, but this has been very good to me. And I've enjoyed my time here.
Yeah, well, like I said, we certainly appreciate everything you've done here. But
Thank you.
so what started you in the fence industry? What led you here?
Well, pretty much just because I needed a job. It's not like I, was growing up. When you're growing up and you want to be something growing up, who says, well, I want to be a fence man. You want to be a fireman or a policeman, or, you want to do something. I purely out of necessity. I mean, no job, paid on car notes, had to go to work. So there you go.
Had you ever done anything in the fence industry before you came to work here?
Didn't know a tension band from a tie wire.
Yeah. So I've heard stories about your like your first few days or your first week, and you had some fun out back with the sling blade or the Joe blade.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, that was my first job. I think your grandfather decided he wanted to put me through a few tests to make sure that I was going to stay around. So as before there was a string trimmer, or before he wanted to spend the money on a string trimmer, because your grandfather was a very frugal man. If he could get a man to use a sling blade, he wasn't going to buy one of those. Well, I was that guy.
Well, payroll was cheap back then. So.
Yeah, very much so. But for probably the first week, we didn't have all this gravel back here. It was grass and weeds, and I was down there with a sling blade swinging, going, I need to find another job. But I stuck around.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything you did before you came here?
Not really. I mean, I knocked around a little bit. I mean, remember, I started when I was 20 here. So, right. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot. I worked at Fort Pillow prison, made no money there, hated the job. And then came here and, and I'm still looking for a better job, but anybody out there, but
no,
it's a little late in the game, but whatever.
y'all just go watch something else. So how was the job market then?
Well, the job market was way different back then. It was the, early mid 80s. And if you found a job, you need to hold on to it.
Right.
And you couldn't just like now you see all these help wanted signs. People are going in and they can get a job almost immediately and making pretty decent money. I started here in 1984 making $5 an hour and was happy to be employed because I think minimum wage was $3.35 back then. So,
Wow.
man, I thought I was stinking up high cotton, because it was, and I could get as many hours as I wanted.
Right.
There's no such thing as a 40-hour week at Memphis Fence Company. Still isn't. If you want to work 50 hours a week, that's not a problem. So, yeah, the job market's changed a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Was it so what about like the whole college deal? How was that as big of a thing back then as
it
is
wasn't.
now?
I mean, all kids now, when they come out of high school, they feel like they want to go to college, and trust me, if you can, you have the means, you should. I
Right.
mean, furthering your education is always a good thing, but it's not for everyone. It wasn't for me. I had to go to work. So, and luckily, I've got in the niche of something pretty early on. I mean, I didn't know I wanted to be in the fence business, but I'm not sorry that I landed here. It's been good to me, so why
Sure.
not?
Right. Right.
So, but no, I mean, the college was not in the cards for me.
Right.
Time to go to work.
So the next question, why did you stay in the fence business?
Every morning when I hit the ground, I'm like, why am I still in the fence business?
Still trying to figure that out.
Still
huh?
trying to figure it out, but I wouldn't change it. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no way. My wife tells me all the time, when you retire, even on a vacation, we're off for a while. Like Thursday, she's like, you got to go back to work. You're driving me nuts. So you probably stuck with me for longer than you want to be. So there you go.
We're not complaining.
Yeah.
So, you got any ideas of how we might get young people interested in the fence industry now?
Well, I put a lot of thought into this, and I think if you take the time, and this is something Zach probably can help you with it. You might have to get a computer guru involved. If we can make a video game, and it starts out where you have to be at work on time, and you load the truck and you drive it to a site and you start, get off and pull the string out, meet with the customer, and I don't know that you can get any young people interested in doing anything now, playing video games and laying around doing nothing. There's some.
I got a question about.
Go ahead.
I'm hearing this description. I'm envisioning my 13-year-old son piloting an avatar.
There you go.
That's
just
assembling
thinking.
fence.
Like make robots that
Okay.
are remote
All right,
controlled.
guys, you heard it here. It was my idea. Okay, if this happens.
So yeah, there's an idea.
Well, that's gonna take a significantly larger investment than MFC Manufacturing or Simpalo.
Or any of us can afford to
Right,
do.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, well, there's Elon Musk. Can you hear us?
Please
We
help.
need your help. We need fencemen,
For sure.
automaton fencemen. I'll offer the name Adam for short. That's what we're going to call him. Adam Fenceman. Yeah, automaton fenceman, just known as Atom.
It's good. I like it. I've been telling people we need to work on this AI, on these robots, all of this. I mean, they've got, tons of them in manufacturing, but how is it possible to get one to go out and do a service like what we do? Somebody needs to work on that. But did you have something?
Well, I was just Randy and I, we joke about that and we talk about that is a real thing that we're dealing with, but you recently hired a young kid, 23 years old or something like that.
22, yeah.
Who's riding the bus to work and like doing whatever it takes to get here and seemingly doing okay for 3 weeks in.
No, I hadn't seen him in 2 days.
Oh, well, shit. Damn it. I thought we had
should have ran that one by me to begin with.
That's perfect.
Well, it's the truth, and that's what we're after here. So
it was
I
not
hadn't heard
staged.
from him either. So there you go.
It was not staged.
I hired a 20-something welding school graduate, and he seems to be doing good. But again, we're 2 to 3 weeks in.
There you go.
So
It's hard.
It's hard. It's
Man.
a tough market out there.
And what's crazy is you put a job posting out there, we get, what I send you the other day, 8 or 9 or 10.
Well, I looked at them and I was like, okay, do I want to waste my time with these? And how many interviews have you set up where they didn't even show up for the interview?
Oh, 75%.
There you
50,
go.
Yeah.
75%.
There you go. And I don't see that changing moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so you don't think there's like a pendulum where, at one point when in 84, like the college stuff wasn't as big of a deal and has progressively increased in importance since then. You don't think that pendulum's going to swing back the other way and maybe correct itself at all? Or,
As long as there's going to be money available for people that don't have to work for it, that's there.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have to get up in the morning and catch a bus or get driven in, or because
Sure.
no one wants to get a driver's license anymore. You'd be surprised how many people. Well, no, you wouldn't be surprised because you get it. No one has a driver's license anymore.
oh yeah.
You just what do you do? Uber everywhere.
Uber and work from
Nah,
home
man,
for the
they-
most part.
Here in Memphis, they just drive.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
a lot of them do.
Man, we got so many people that show up to work here in their own vehicle, no driver's license, no insurance, nothing, and drive here every day.
You're right.
So are there any moments that kind of stand out that maybe changed your outlook on the industry? That maybe you said, well, I'm going to stay here another day, another week, another month, another year, anything like that?
Yeah, that's a simple question. Your grandfather made me feel pretty welcome. Not immediately. You had to prove yourself to him, but
Right.
after you did that, I mean, opportunity was there. And I think he saw that I was a hard worker. I had a good work ethic, and he just kind of took me under his wing. He taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me, treat a customer well, do a good job, always stay in touch with them. And you're not always going to tell a customer what they want to hear,
Mhm.
but they need to hear something. Even if it's bad news, you tell them. So
Yep.
yeah, it was all Webb that made me decide to stay in this industry.
Right.
So I can't put that with anything but that.
So Webb, my grandfather,
Correct.
also my son.
Right.
So-
Well, he had nothing to do with it.
Right. Just want to be clear because I
No.
did mention Webb earlier.
Yeah, I
so-
know. I mean, I didn't. My crystal ball's not that deep.
Right.
So
I foretell of one day having a grandchild.
right.
And he will be greater than the rest. No.
Fulfill the prophecy.
Right.
Right. That's pretty good. I like you're getting into the 80s equipment. Are we in that area?
Not yet. We got one more.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So any specific moments that made you feel like you're a part of something instead of just working for the man?
Yes. Webb took me to a lot of the ABC, AGC, IFIA back in the day. It's AFA now. And, we'd rub elbows with some pretty good people.
Was
especially the general contractors.
TGB? I don't know any of those acronyms.
Well, stay in your lane. Anyhow, we were at the general contractors meeting, and we were rubbing shoulders with some pretty good names out there. And when he started introducing me, which I'd always been there, but I was just there with him.
Mm-hmm.
But when he started saying, "Hey guys, this is Randy Pennington, and this is the future Memphis Fence Company. Okay, you're going to be dealing with him more, you'll see him more, and you'll be talking to him on the phone." And that's when I thought, "Hey, hell, I just got called up from the miners.
Right.
Right.
This is a big deal here." And and I'm going to say that didn't happen overnight. I'd been here probably close to 15 to 20 years before
That's
that happened.
what I was going to ask. Like,
Yeah.
at what point in
Yeah,
your tenure here was that?
It was a while. Yeah.
So just to be clear, like you worked on the yard.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then you were on a truck.
Mhm.
And then you were a foreman on a truck.
For a short while. I didn't do that very long. He tried to get me in sales quick as he could, but he also knew I needed that experience
Right.
to, how long does it take to do a job? What's the
Mm.
materials you need for the job? And
What kind
back
of issues
then-
are you going to run into, and how are you going to handle
I'm not going to
them
have
all?
as many as you are.
Oh yeah.
So we already have those issues. So we're not running into them. We're here.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for our key people, and I think every company, no matter how big or how small it is, has the key people that make the difference.
Mhm.
Okay. We have some outstanding employees. My key people are second to none. Put them against anyone. But they're starting to get a little older, and no one's coming up to take those positions.
Remember that comment I made?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
So I actually saw a job posting, another fence company over in Little Rock, and they were, trying to hire people, and they said most of our people have been here like 19 plus years and all of this. And so that reminds me of that. Like, that's who we all have.
That's right.
Just like you said,
Mhm.
is, the people that have kind of been here, and
Mhm.
it's hard to get the new ones.
Right.
So, But yeah, so like how long did it take you from, hire date, working on the yard, working on the truck, all of that until you went into sales? Is that like that 15-year
No, it's
kinda?
probably closer to 20. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd been a while. But I mean, I did supply sales
Right.
first, where people, and we used to have a pretty good supply business back in the day.
Right.
And, I stood at the counter, nothing like we have now, computers and all that. I mean, everything was handwritten back in the day. And when we did finally get a computer system, I learned that one. It's just this new one. You're on your own with that one. So,
All that fancy quick
Well,
pass
that's-
nonsense.
That's kind of what I was thinking about, is that sales part. You talked to me a bit about that, about watching the value of metal and
Mhm.
trying to buy ahead of
Mhm.
time and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, which is not really something that I'm really doing these days.
well,
know?
it's not like I watch the market.
Right.
I'm always talking to
Your vendors.
the industry, the vendors.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, what are we looking like coming down the road? Try to keep your feelers out there the best you can. Now, you can't believe everything you hear, but I've got some good people out there that don't BS me. I mean, they pretty much keep me on a level playing field. I feel like we buy as good as most, but you're never going to outguess the market. It
Sure.
changes every day. I
Sure.
mean, look at the gas pumps.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
So-
back then you guys were buying a lot more truckloads
way
and
more,
truckloads.
way more.
Yeah,
But,
so I wanted to kind of talk about that since y'all were
Mhm.
mentioning material a
Mhm.
little bit, but carry on.
well, I mean, you used to could buy like full weight Schedule 40 in India and have it shipped halfway across the world for, 25 to 30% cheaper than I could buy it over in Arkansas.
Right.
Have it shipped here.
How many suppliers were there? Because so you mentioned that we used to sell a lot of wholesale material because there weren't suppliers everywhere like there are today, right?
Right.
And there wasn't a box store on every corner that you could buy fence material
Correct.
at and
Mhm.
all of that. And so y'all used to buy like truckloads of everything.
Well, you have to buy.
basically.
Well, if it was pipe, you bought what we call futures. Okay, so Webb always told me, he said, "I don't care how much you buy. You can spend as much money as you want to. The day you don't sell it, someone's gonna have a problem." So if you wanted something for March, you started looking at it in like October.
Mhm.
Okay, and you make out a list, and you never got it right, but you get as close as you can. And back in those days, you didn't have swedged rail. If it was full weight 40, still not.
Right.
But you made sure you had the sleeves here to cover what you had, the 3-inch pipe, and you just bought as much of it as you could. And usually, I'd probably buy 6 or 8 truckloads that would hit the spring,
Mhm. Wow.
and
Just of pipe?
just a pipe. Yeah,
Wow.
but now that would last you. You're supposed to buy enough to last you all the way through summer into the fall,
Mm.
and then you might have to buy a little fill in locally, but then you bulk again.
So how hard was it to get like your fill-in stuff? Now we have, I mean, we can have material here in,
Mhm.
a couple days now, but
Well, you could still get it. It was probably domestic and it didn't match your material, so you just you tried to do to cover yourself.
so it wasn't like if you ordered a bundle of 1 3/8 rail, you had to wait a month. It
No,
was-
no, no.
Okay.
You can still get it.
Okay.
There were still vendors around. They're just not as plentiful as they are now.
Right. Right. Crazy stuff. I've
Mhm.
always heard kind of, the stories, of
Yeah.
course, about ordering all that. And in fact, we have some old pictures of the yard where there was just pipe stacked everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've
sir.
heard when Webb was running this place, we had pipes stacked to the sky. There
Right,
was pipe everywhere.
We never ran out of anything. We had it forever.
Well, it's true. I used to buy even the local stuff. You would have a vendor come in here and say, "Hey, man, I'd give you an extra 30-day terms and knock 5% off if you'll buy 2 trucks from me." And I'd go to Webb and I say, "Hey, this is what he's offering." He's like, "And if you think you can sell it, just buy it."
Right.
And he was a stickler for every discount he could take. Of 2% 10 days, he was all over that. He said, "Man, that's like getting another 5 pieces of rail." I mean, that's true for
Right.
nothing. So, and that's where I learned it, right there.
Yeah.
So,
In our past episodes, we've kind of talked about money struggles and things like that. But I remember, and it's been 2 or 3 years ago or something like that. But I remember the first time when we actually had like a decent size order that I was able to take that discount on. It
Mhm.
was pretty exciting.
yeah.
But most people don't offer it anymore. Most of our suppliers don't even
No.
do it. We
Well,
only
that's because no one
have
takes it.
we only have a couple. Steel is one of them. that actually, and I think they offer like a 0.5% in 10 days or something like that. You know, it's
Well, you try to pay your bills the same way you get paid, and customers are slow pay.
15 days late.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Right.
mean, you have to compensate.
Right. Yeah, no, it's tough. But anyway, so in the olden days, so what was equipment like around? Like what everybody have at their disposal back then?
Well, let's see. You had the old Arkansas backhoe, the old PhD.
Mm,
Um, if you went out and to do a little set and stretch or repair something, and you had, let's just say 6 holes that need to be broke out. Well, you got the spud bar off the truck and you went to work
mm,
because Webb was not going to rent you a jackhammer. We didn't own one back then. We had some old pine jars that you would pull on for about 10 minutes before you get frustrated, throw it on the ground, kick it, and
What?
it was
What
like
is that?
like a gas operated jackhammer or a rock drill or something. Trust me, you don't want to know what one
What
is.
did you call it?
A pond jar.
Pond jar.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, all you old guys out there know what I'm talking about. They were very frustrating equipment. If you got it to run, it was great. Every 6 months. And so equipment's come a long ways. We have skid steers now that just about go out to every site, and like your set truck. And we have a pretty nice set truck. We've got the mixer and everything on the bigger jobs. And then if you got a real big job, you could get concrete where you could have ready mix delivered. Man, you're inconvenienced now if you ask them for anything less than 25 yards.
Right.
So, but we've been lucky a little bit more lately, but still you have to book it a week in advance to get it.
Yeah, and it seems like it's kind of gotten a little bit easier.
A little bit easier, but still
Right.
nothing to brag about. It's not like it used to. You could call that morning and have it delivered that afternoon.
Right.
Those days are gone. They can't find help any more than we can.
Yep. Yeah. So tell us about unloading trucks when you were on the yard and you'd have a truckload of wire come in.
Well, you have a truckload of wire, you would have like 4 guys up on top of the truck throwing it down, and then you'd have 8 or 10 on the ground picking it up and putting it in a stack. There's no pallets in those days.
So it wouldn't even come on pallets.
No.
Oh,
No.
wow.
It was all stacked on the truck and all tied together with those little bitty ties. And you get up there and you cut it and throw all the ties loose and start throwing it down and stacking it. And you want to talk about when the guys were trying to get off the yard, if they knew there was a truckload of wire coming, man, they were no truck. Sometimes we tell them there's a truckload of wire coming, even if it wouldn't, because they can get off the yard with quickness.
That's crazy. So what about pipe? Forklift?
Well, yeah, you can use forklift with that. We used to have an old forklift that pick up a lot with real long forks, and it finally died, but it was old when we got it. But,
right.
Yeah,
we'll
always do that.
I can remember when I was a kid that like white
That's what it was,
forklift with
white.
the 8-foot forks
That's
on
it.
it. Yeah, I remember me and your son
Right.
trying to race them and take them mudding and all that kind of stuff.
I remember too. Yeah.
I'm sure we made everybody proud back
Yeah,
then.
oh, a proud papa, no doubt.
So, yeah. So mixing concrete, what was there any kind of tools or?
Yeah, a shovel and a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
That's how you got it done. So, I mean, again, if you had a big job, you get lucky, you get a mixer, but most of the time you were just mixing it by hand, so.
We unearthed a photo across the street of what looked like a handmade concrete hopper that was operated by the hydraulic line on a machine. I'm assuming it looks old. I don't know if it was being used on a skid steer or maybe is used on a tractor at that time, something that was using a hydraulic line.
Probably the same hopper that's down here now that's just 30 years old.
That's
y'all still running it?
Well, we're running one, but it's you put it on front of the skid steer and you open up the
and y'all made that here.
Mm-hmm.
That's
correct.
Cool. That was one of the cooler things about getting into this trade for me was handmade tools.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned the jackhammer. I found what was like a big piece of solid bar sleeved inside of a piece of 3-inch pipe that was like a manual jackhammer.
Well, it was post driver, but you used it for jack.
Well, this had a sharp point on it. Slides inside there. I was like, man, this is going to work to break some concrete.
You look around here, you'll find a lot of things.
I like it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to say, how much material do you think y'all ordered like back in the 80s that we still have over in the Kwanzaa hut?
I could probably find a few things over there for sure, especially up in no man's land, up in that loft up there. Nobody wants to go up there.
It's funny how people know if they need to like match some old fittings or
Right.
like, you know, some of the old senior H-beam stuff and all of that, they'll come over here and we'll dig them up for them.
We'll still find a few things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. There's some ancient stuff still sitting up
Mhm.
there. But what else was it? I was going to say something. I forgot what it was. I don't know. Oh, so what about the tractors? Yeah, I know. So I know there was some old Massey Ferguson tractors around here at one
Mhm.
point. What'd y'all use them for?
Oh, we had a bunch of highway field fence to do, so we used it on that. And you could, if you were taking one down, you could actually take the PTO out, and hook up the wire to the back of it, and that stuff would roll. You better get out of the way because it would take you with it, man, and it would just roll up all that other stuff to get it down before you start putting the other stuff up. But we also made like a post driver going back one of those tractors where you pull it out where you could drive the post as you went along.
Wasn't there one for guardrail, like a whole trailer with the driver and everything?
It was driver, but we used it for post. I don't remember doing any guardrail.
Okay, so it was just for fence post.
Just fence post.
Okay,
right.
Yeah, I've seen. I don't ever remember seeing it in person, but I've seen some pictures of it.
I remember when we built it.
Yeah,
I remember when we built it. It was pretty cool. Lot of work went into it. Wasted a lot of material, but we finally got it right. Just to do a few jobs, and I don't know whatever happened to that thing. It's got to be around here somewhere.
I'm not sure. But basically, it's kind of like a guardrail truck is today,
It is.
where it had the driver that stood up on the side of it and the little dunk
exactly.
thing.
We were driving wood post with
it. Don't.
Yep.
Yeah, so driving the wood post for field fence.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. Was that stuff just not available like it is? So now, if you want a post driver to drive wood post, you know, you've got 30 options out there.
Well, some people were smart enough to build that stuff and patent it.
Mm-hmm.
And actually put it to market and make money on it. We're just dumb fence guys, man. I mean,
just built it when you needed
built
it.
it when you needed it. And,
use it for a little while, and then it disappears in the yard somewhere.
Right. It just vanishes. It just erodes into the ground or something. So, I don't know. You got any more questions about tools, equipment, anything like that?
No, I don't think so. When did y'all start doing fabrication here at Memphis Fence Company? About what time was that?
You talking about fabrication like our gates?
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty early on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've welded many gates over there in the Quonset hut. Yeah. It's, we've done it. I have no memory of us not ever building gates.
Okay.
We've always built them, residential, commercial.
And y'all used something that was about the size of this table, a gigantic stick welder.
Oh, yeah.
The old arc welder over there.
Yeah. The old turbine looked like a missile went in the bottom of. Yes. And that thing's around here somewhere.
It's still here. I've seen
you
it.
flip the switch on that thing and the lights would dim. I mean,
in the city, not just here.
Not here, right? Everywhere.
Right. Sorry for all that dimming of the lights in the 80s.
Right. So
they fired up the old Lincoln again.
So y'all would use that thing to like melt pipes and stuff in the winter,
cut
right?
with it. Oh yeah, you can do everything with it. It has so much power. It's 3-phase. I mean, it's obsolete, but man, it was a great welder. I bet you if you fired it up, it would still work.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
Still today. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's over there. It looks like a little submarine. You know what? They should use that next time they want to go down and look at an old ship. They could probably use.
It'd probably get them to the bottom just as fast.
Right. But.
Yeah, I have a particular fondness for it being a welder and all, like that being my trade specifically. I know where that is. If y'all want to know where it is,
yeah,
I'll keep tabs on it for you.
So we also have like some old office stuff. What was that thing called? That it was it basically kind of like a printing press?
Oh yeah,
it was the original copier that we had, right? And it
like
was,
a manual
hand crank. I remember
you had to set up the dies and everything.
We cannot have this conversation without me mentioning Ms. Joy Norton, okay? Because she was another one of my heroes, and she used to use that thing, and she was very old school. If you crossed her, you're in trouble. I seen her make 6'4", 300-pound men quake in their boots because she was a tough old broad, but she used everything around here. The typewriter. She didn't want to, when we first got a computer, man, she did not like it at all. She finally learned it and she accepted it, but you still see that old typewriter out. She used it all the time.
How many years was she here?
32 and a half years.
So the reason that she left is that computer.
The last one that yes,
Mm.
she was like, I'm not learning it again. I'm an old dog and I'm not learning a new trick.
So when I bought Memphis Fence, the accounting system was like old. And so one of the first things was I was like, all right, we're putting in a modern accounting system and going to start running that. And so Miss Joy came to me and she's like, I'm not learning that.
Yep.
If that's what you're going to use, I'm done. I am not learning it. And I was like, well, sorry, and she had made up her mind.
She was.
It was time for her to go enjoy her
Yeah,
retirement.
she already told me, I'm not working for that smart little.
She was so terrifying, though, man.
She was.
I remember when I was a kid, she used to have a refrigerator up there with drinks.
Mhm.
And I would always try to get somebody else to go buy me a drink. I'm like, I got 50 cents, but I'm too scared to go back there and ask for a
I've
drink.
got $1. I'll just give it for one.
Right.
So the printing device.
Oh, yeah.
Worked. I looked it up. I saw it. We pulled the cover off, and so the product name is a Gestetner.
Yeah.
And it sounds German. I'm assuming it's German. I think German. And the way it works is it's like a transfer paper, and you have to set up all the dies for what you're copying basically at each time, and it wears out over time. The press does, or the dies do. So you can get I think something like 13 copies, and then you got to set it all up again.
Right.
Hand crank. That is
Mhm.
crazy to me.
Didn't you say you typed it on you took some sort of sheet that was made for it and typed it on the typewriter. And that was the die for it basically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little less,
It wasn't like you had a box of letters and had to
Right.
put individual
That's how
ones.
it was.
Oh, no. That was just, that was primal there.
Right,
We moved
right.
up to the good stuff by
Right.
then.
Yeah. And the faxes used to come on a big roll, right?
It did. It was like real thin onion skin paper,
Mm.
and if you could send one continuously, it would just it wouldn't cut the sheet. It would just keep on running it and keep on running it.
Yeah.
So when I first started in the business, we didn't even have fax machines.
Mhm.
So those come around a few years later.
So you had a bag phone when you were doing sales, or a truck phone?
It was
or
actually
whatever.
mounted in the truck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't leave
Yeah.
the truck. And it was a dial. It wasn't even push button.
Really?
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Randy's a pretty old school guy still. And so we've had issues with, when our power goes out, the internet goes down. I mean, the rest of us are like, oh no, what are we going to do? And Randy's like, finally, some peace and quiet. I can get some work done. And he's just down here working away with nothing. And we're all just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. So there's definitely a place for that old school stuff when it comes to, the infrastructure letting us down and all. But so, the next thing I have here is work ethic.
Mhm.
And I've heard lots of stories about, people liking to partake in alcohol and things like that way back when. I don't know if you got any.
Well, yeah, there's been a few, present company included. We all grow up eventually.
Right.
Okay. But there was a few that come in and you would have to say, hey, you're really not fit to be here today. So just go ahead and the good workers, they just, hey, I had a bad night and had to tie one on, got into it with the old lady or something went wrong. And you just have to say, all right, you have to do it another day because today's just not the day.
Yeah.
So, but it's happened.
So since I've been here, we've found a stash of empty Jack Daniel's bottles
Not
in
mine.
the wall. And
Not mine.
yeah, we figured out who it was.
Yeah,
but
okay.
So it's interesting. But yes, myself, I'm not casting any stones.
Oh.
I've finished my last night from the beer before getting out of the truck to come to work.
Yep. But you were here.
Yeah, I was here.
See, that's the thing. I mean,
I may not be able to walk or see straight, but I was here.
didn't
Yeah.
hurt my work. That's for sure.
Right.
I was here.
So, but what about just the overall work ethic that you saw, over the course of your career versus what we see today?
Well, work ethic back then was okay. Well, work ethic starts at home. Okay. It does. If your father made you work, a lot of kids now don't even cut the yard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you're taught at a very young age, hey, go out and cut the yard or sweep the drive, whatever you do, even paint or whatever. When you look at it and you look back and you go, hey, you take a little pride in that. Hey, it looks good. Okay. Well, that just doesn't happen anymore. A lot of these inner city young men, they grew up without a father. Some of them weren't even raised by their mom as a grandmother.
Mhm.
So, lot of these kids, and you can't say they can't be held accountable because everybody can change their path, but they've got 2 strikes against them when they get out of school because they
Yeah.
just don't know how to work.
Sure.
Okay. And back when I was growing up, everybody worked. I worked in the summer, just try to make a little bit of money because, my parents didn't give me any kind of allowance. If you wanted it, you worked for it and
Right.
you went out and got it. Uh, haul hay, cut yards,
Mm.
whatever it is you had to do to make $1. That's what you did. You guys won't remember this one. Zach, you might, but you used to collect bottles on the side of the road, Coke bottles,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you could get a deposit on.
Oh,
them.
yeah.
Hey, you get a nickel back for it. So man, we'd go around and collect bottles and take them to the store.
Nickelback.
Yeah, even
Don't say Nickelback.
got him. Oh, Randy hates Nickelback. So when I was a kid, recycling wasn't on curbside, and
Mhm.
so we would save up aluminum cans, and there was a big machine that looked kind of like the ice house machines now that you can go buy these big ass bags of ice from, and in the parking lot of a Piggly Wiggly, which in Memphis we don't even have Piggly Wigglies
Nope.
anymore. At
Gone
the
by the
corner
wayside.
of Summer and Raleigh LaGrange, or Sycamore View and Summer Avenue, and you go and put each can one at a time into a little slot and get like a nickel for an aluminum can. So that's what we were doing. Bottles is a little
Same
before
premise.
my time.
Right.
Same thing though.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you mentioned something about when you get out of school. You said when you get out of school, and one thing that I've been hearing about is that a lot of the schools, like my friends who have kids in high school now, they don't even have an opportunity to be introduced to a trade in school.
And we should do better at that. Us guys, we should. What about job fairs?
Sure.
Okay. There
Well,
used to
that
be career
sounds like a
days.
good
That's
idea.
something we should do.
Whatever
I
happened
can't
to
make
like
the robot, but I could schedule Memphis Fence present at a job fair. That's for
Exactly.
damn sure.
Mhm.
whatever happened to the days of like auto body and
Well,
woodworking and all that
see,
kind of stuff too?
and I always thought that, a fence installation class, just like plumbing and welding, and I mean, it is a career.
Mm.
I mean, I'm living proof it's a career. Okay. Yeah, I may have started out cutting grass in the back lot, but I've evolved all the way to where I am now. Everybody else can do that.
Oh, nobody knows where you are now.
Oh,
We haven't talked
well,
about
I'm
that.
sweeping the floors and doing the windows
Yeah,
now.
right.
So Randy,
Work my way up to Winders.
Randy's vice president of Memphis Fence.
Oh, don't give me a title.
Hey.
I don't get caught up on high titles.
He runs the our commercial division, so he's the guy that people talk to for like the business to business kind of calling customers, and he schedules all the crews orders of material, calls in, locates, kind of runs that whole thing by itself. So just to give you a brief overview of where he is now, I realized we just didn't even include that at all. So
I thought we might be going kind of linear, in
circling back around to that. Okay,
chronological
sorry.
order here. We're still in the 80s. We're never going to finish the show if we're making our way to current.
Yeah. So I don't think that's someone calling us. But so Alyssa asked a question. She says, "What's one thing about the fence industry that new people coming into the industry need to know to help them succeed?"
Wow, that's a good question.
Just put you right on the spot there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, don't give up. I mean, it's hard work. The biggest thing you need to understand is if you stay with it long enough, the more you learn. I've got guys that were just like me. They didn't know anything about the fence business, but when they came in, they were willing to learn, and they kept advancing. Now they're running a truck, and an experienced fence man can make a fine living installing fence. Okay. So my biggest thing, the only thing I can tell them, and I try to tell them, look, just don't get frustrated. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. Every day you learn something, you're going to be better at it. We're going to recognize it. Okay. When I hire a kid in at whatever I pay him, I always tell them immediately that this is what I'm going to give you, but that's not where I want you to stay.
Right.
I want you to go for that other $1, other $2. I'm willing to give that to you, but I'm not going to give it to you. You will earn it. But I promise you, if you do, you will get it.
Tim Hammond says, "Anywhere in the country, gonna make a fine living."
You can.
Yep,
Mhm.
for sure.
For sure.
They're few and far between, man.
Yeah.
So I have a few things. We're about 45 minutes in, so We got a few more, but I mean, is there any difference in the weather?
Oh, well, a lot of this has probably the way I feel about it is because I'm older. But the sun just seems like it's hotter. And you go outside now, the humidity is unbelievable these
It got
days.
closer.
Yeah, well, it got closer. I feel like I can touch it some days.
Yeah.
It's the days are brutal, and now we don't get just rain anymore. It seems like we get either wrath of God rain, high winds, tornadoes, things tearing stuff up. You know, my house was hit by the tornado that went through Covington. I didn't get near the damage that the guys up in Covington did. They got hammered. I was very fortunate. God blessed me there. We missed that, but it did enough damage. I had to replace the roof on my house and one of my rental houses, some of my outbuildings, stuff like that. And you know, you would get weather like that back in the old days, but not as much as we get it now. It seems like we get it every time that it even clouds up. Now we get that.
Right.
Not always to that level, but that's what we get.
Well, and up until this most recent tornado or there was a literal tornado, right?
Well,
In
In
Covington.
Covington.
yeah.
it
Oh,
was.
yeah. It's
So my son and I were in the driveway, and I was like, well, son, we probably don't have anything to worry about. In my 40 years of existence on this earth and in Memphis, Tennessee, I've had one like severe, maybe tornado warning or watch, never touched down. And for my whole life, we've not had anything like this. And then
Right.
here in this 6 months, we've had one after the other. It's
Right.
like every time
power
we get
outages, thousands without power.
right.
And when it's 95 degrees outside with 80% humidity, that's not what you want.
Yep.
So
And then
Yeah,
it
that's a
seems like
problem.
every time the wind
That's not-
picks up, now we have, I mean,
That's
giant old growth oak trees are falling and
yeah,
all kinds of
root
shit,
ball and all, just push the whole thing over. Yeah. So
which has been pretty wild. I guess I talked to one of our contacts in like Illinois and was talking to him about the high winds and the trees falling and all that stuff. They
Right.
had no idea. So people outside of Memphis may not even know, but for the last 6 months, we've been getting rocked with
right.
crazy
And
storms.
you know, I'm not a tree hugger, but there may be a little something to this global warming. I'm not sure. So,
There's definitely climate change.
oh yeah, definitely.
And I mean, so I've noticed that in my lifetime, like the time of the season seems to have kind of shifted to where now it's like it gets warm earlier in the spring than it used to, or maybe I don't remember which way it is.
Well,
But
example, I used to take my kids every Labor Day weekend. You know, we would go camping. Okay. And the nights would be cool. You would need a blanket because it would cool off. When's the last time that's happened? I mean,
right.
it's just in a few weeks.
Right.
yeah.
I think next week's highs are going to be back in the upper 90s again. And we're just a couple of weeks off Labor Day.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right.
So what about customers? How have customers changed?
Well, customers have changed a lot.
Take it
Well,
easy.
that-
Take it easy.
People showing up to work
We
and
have
customers
talked
are
a little bit about this,
Well-
and I feel some heat behind this one.
Well, you know, you used to when you show up on a job site or to look at your customer would meet you out there on time after you made an appointment. You could they would walk you around and say, hey, you know, the fence goes here's my property line. We're looking for something 6 foot tall, 3 strands barbed wire. We want a gate here. We want a gate here. Well, give me an option maybe of some automation. And they were pretty clear on what they wanted. Okay, now they want to sit in their office and point out a window or send you an email and say, well, it's right out there somewhere and give me 6 different options.
I got one today. It said, you shouldn't need a manager on site. It should be pretty obvious where the fence is.
Yeah, exactly. What is your definition of I need a fence repair? Because when you get out there and the whole thing's laying on the ground, like this is a fence replace,
Right.
not a repair.
Right. We'll
how
quote
many-
you new.
How many times do people call and say, when are you going to do that repair? Well, have you looked outside?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
done.
They don't even look.
Yeah.
He's like, I got a bill for this repair. When you going to do it? 2 weeks ago? Did you even go out there? Oh man, I told him I got to go out there looking. He never got back with me. Well, get off your lazy backside and
Right.
go look yourself.
So what about you see any difference in like the suppliers or vendors, subcontractors?
Yeah, well,
anything?
subcontractors I never had a lot to do with. Okay, I try to do everything in house. I'm not saying we haven't used them. We do from time to time. It's rare. And I'm not opposed to them. That's why I hire men to keep them busy.
Yeah, we talked about that
Yeah.
a little bit today.
Yeah, exactly. So, but as far as suppliers, man, I miss the old days when it comes to the suppliers and vendors because they used to come in and they take you to lunch or spend a little time with you. You might even at night go to dinner with them, spend a little bit of time with them. And even if they were just in their area, if you had a one that's out of town, they come in, bring a box of donuts and just talk to you for a little while. But no one has time for that anymore.
Wayne
Kinda-
Norman.
Wayne Norman was one of them.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. You know, we do a lot of business with a lot of different vendors, and I talk to them on the phone often, never see them.
Yeah.
And I kind of miss that.
Yeah.
That needs to come back.
I'm rarely out of the office, but one of my sales reps for aluminum showed up here one day just at random, and
Yeah.
I got back from lunch or wherever, and there was this card on my desk, and I was like, "Man, that's crazy! That's amazing!"
Yeah.
So
So
that-
kind of sorry you missed that.
Yeah,
that
I
day.
was.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, really.
I looked forward to those, you know, but
So the company we buy aluminum from, they're one. He'll come around every now and then, probably couple 2 or 3 times a year, and more if you've bought something from him recently. If you don't
Right.
buy anything from him for a while, they won't stop by. But
right.
and then remember the guy from the treated pine place.
Yep.
So
Are we
he's-
avoiding saying company names?
don't
Is
know.
that something we're
I
doing?
I
I
do.
try not
I don't
to.
want to take.
Okay,
no
we're
one-
gonna follow suit.
No,
You
no, I don't
are
drop names. I'll
yeah.
talk about Ms. Joy and I'll talk about Webb. But I'm
Right,
not gonna,
right.
I'm going to talk about vendors or name any names. All of my
Companies that-
employees are excellent.
Right.
They need to know that.
Right.
You know who you are, guys. So
Well, and hopefully in this spot we're gonna have some of them on the show too. That's
That would
the
be good.
plan.
Yep,
would
that's
be
the
good.
plan.
Mhm.
So
So we'll do what Randy does
yeah,
as far as that's concerned. I like that.
no
Yeah.
pressure. Thanks.
yeah. So is there anything else that kind of stands out as being a big difference from some time versus now?
I think we've pretty much covered it all. We're in good shape here. I mean, I hope y'all enjoyed the boring life of Randy Pennington with Memphis Fence Company. It's been a journey. I've enjoyed it. I hope I still have quite a few more years left in me.
Yeah.
What about your personal life?
Yeah,
You
what about
got
it?
a family, you got dogs, what you
Yes, I have all of it.
yeah.
I have family. I have dogs, and the dogs are real good. No, I have a wonderful wife. I still have a stepson that lives at home with me. And of course, let me tell you the greatest thing in my life, grandchildren.
Right.
They're the best. If I could have had them first, definitely would have done that.
That's what
Yeah.
everyone says.
Yes, sir.
I guess
We were
so.
talking about that earlier. I have teenagers and they
Mhm.
don't really want much to do with me, and you're
They come back around.
right.
They do.
But you were really more saying wait for the grandkids.
for
You
'em.
get it again. So
do.
that's we'll get to look forward to that some. So
Yeah. I haven't got to either of those yet, obviously. But
Right.
so where do you think this industry's headed? You have any?
Well, son, I would like to tell you that it's headed in the right direction. We need to work on it. Like when I say we, I mean us as an industry. We need to work on it. Like, do things like I was talking about the job fairs and the career days and stuff like that. We're so wrapped up in trying to make money, and that's what makes this ball of mud turn. I mean, so we have to keep pressing and pressing. I can think of 10 things a day that I need to be doing, but I can't. I've got customers that are waiting on their prices. I've got locates that need to be done. I've got, pieces of equipment that need to work on. We
I was
have
going
to
to
keep
say,
going.
let's not even mention all the trucks
Yeah,
and
I
equipment
mean,
that
it's-
break down every day.
right.
But and how many people can you hire? You got to be able to. We need to take some time and put back into this business as a whole, not Memphis Fence Company, not any other fence company. What are we going to do to protect our future?
I appreciate that. That's one of the things that we've consistently talked about what is our purpose of the
Right.
podcast. Is like
Exactly.
we're not here to just be like, oh, we're the greatest people and listen to what we
Oh,
have
When
to
you
no.
start
say.
patting
Oh,
yourself on
no.
the back, that's when you're setting yourself up for
Right,
failure.
right.
Don't
So
do
our
that.
our
Mm.
purpose is really to kind of raise awareness and get some conversation started on
Right.
what can we do to breathe new life into
Right.
the fence industry.
You get a bunch of us fence heads together and start figuring out what we're going to do because it's not just a Memphis Fence Company problem. It's a construction problem. It's
Right.
not just this industry.
Right.
I talk to construction companies, general contractors all the time. Go, man, we just can't get people to come in. They're not interested.
One of the periodicals we receive, I read on the recently, and it had a little part in there about going into schools, and there's actually some kind of a coalition which I thought it would be cool to kind of get involved in to make that introduction to high school age kids that
Mhm.
about the trades,
Mhm.
fabrication, welding, fence
Well,
installation, that kind of
when I went
stuff.
to high school, there was vocational classes you could take in high school,
Right.
and I took air conditioning refrigeration. I was pretty good at it, not enough to make a living at it, but I still fix my own stuff if it's something simple.
Right.
So, but why can't we do that with fencing?
So
Sure.
what do you think about a trade school for? I mean, do you think that fence is a big enough industry to have a trade school for that?
Well, do you believe in the fence business? Obviously, you do. You bought a fence company.
All right, and I'm still here.
There you go. You're still here. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I do.
It's an interesting thought. I've
Mhm.
never really thought about that. There's of course, there's a lot of training that fence companies send people to and go
Right.
to and all of that, but I don't think there's really a trade school that just outside people can go to.
And that's a shame
Yeah.
because this is an industry just like welding,
Sure.
plumbing.
Sure.
you know.
HVAC, the school
Absolutely.
I went to was a
Mhm.
tandem program. You could go through the welding or HVAC or both.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
And a lot of it, you gotta learn how to weld.
And
that
there's
can be
never
part of it.
has there ever been a fence workers union in Memphis? Is that a thing?
We do not say union in this
Yeah,
town.
yeah,
No way.
yeah.
All right.
There are some in the country, but
Yeah.
I know that's some place.
Cut his mic.
But that's one way that people get started. The guys down the street, they started their own steel erection business, and they all came from the union and then started their own business, and that's what they're doing now.
So
So
that's where they kind of learned the trade
Right.
was through the union.
I'm just saying, that's typically a way that people go through an apprenticeship and learn a trade, or
Right.
one of the ways.
So I guess I think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
I think somebody should do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the closest person is a guy named Sean King. I know you're not on social media or anything
No.
else, but he does the
Never
Mr.
heard of them.
He does the Mr. Fence Academy. That is a place that people, like they travel to fence companies and do training on site
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's what I was trying to think of is anybody else. But no, I think it's a solid idea. And especially I mean, it's easy enough to go to a career day at a
Sure.
high school or
Right.
something like that.
Where are these kids going? Not
Right.
all of them are going to college. Where
I
are they
mean, not
going?
everybody's cut out for college. Like, not
Exactly.
everybody wants to do it.
Exactly. And where
So-
do they go? I mean, they have to go to work somewhere. And you kids, you need a driver's license. Okay. Get your damn driver's license. Lord.
Yeah. So you have any closing thoughts as we kind of reach our end here?
Well, I think supper's getting cold. So
It is. It is. It's getting close to bedtime too.
Good.
Isn't it?
yeah, about another hour. When you hit the ground in the morning about 4:15, you go to bed early.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so that's one thing we haven't really talked about.
Mm.
I think you get here about 3 hours before daylight every day, right?
I get here at 5:30 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, that's
That first hour and a half to 2 hours here is the most peaceful time I have here. I can get more done. And you wouldn't believe how many contractors or job supers that are answering the phone at that time because they're on site.
Right.
So, and you don't have to deal with a secretary that will bounce you around 10 minutes. He answers the phone.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've always been an early riser.
Yeah.
So
That's about the time I'm crawling around the neighbor's yard with my flashlight looking to pick up dog shit.
I think it's about the time Dan gets up to take his third pee of the night before he goes lays back down.
Right. That's way too early to even think about getting out of bed. So I'm kind of, we've talked about that where I'm kind of the opposite. Like I stay after everybody's gone and
Right.
those couple hours in there, it's just like you said. I mean, it's really when you can get more done in that little short period of time than you do throughout the whole day. But
Well, as your children get older and they start to play in
Yeah.
sports and stuff like that, you're going to start going home.
yeah,
earlier.
it's challenging.
It is.
Even so, Webb's 5 and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
challenging now. So,
Yeah.
But hey, you got anything else?
No, man, that's it. I appreciate you guys having me on. I enjoyed this more than I thought I would because I'm never been a me person. I don't like talking about me.
Oh, we tried not to.
Well,
too, but-
and I thank you. I do. I do want everybody out there to know that his grandfather was the biggest reason that I'm still in this business, and I will always look after this place just like it was mine because that's what he told me to do 25 years ago. to take care of it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do until the day I throw my hat in the ring.
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciate everything
You're
you've
welcome,
done
sir.
here for this company,
welcome.
for my family, for
Mhm.
me, for everybody that's here. I mean,
Very welcome.
you've definitely been a pivotal part of everything going on here for a long time. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, you got anything, Zach?
No, that's it. I think I said all the kind words in the beginning. I don't
Yeah.
want to get too mushy right here at the
right.
end.
I'll give you that 20 as soon as we get out of here.
Say a couple good words for me. Put in a good word for me.
All right. Well, we've had a few people watching here live, so thanks for tuning
That's
in.
Tim.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim. I didn't
Yeah.
even see him on there, man. That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I said. He said anywhere
I
in the
know. It
country.
took me a
earlier.
second to
Yeah.
register. That I was like, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. So don't forget, if you are going to the Fence Show in Vegas, come by, see us. Be good to meet some people that have listened to us. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Like, hey, Tim said hey. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you got any questions or comments or anything, feel free to reach out.
Cool. We'll see y'all. We're next week live from Vegas a little bit.
Shh. Remember, we're gonna like sneak around behind something and hide so we don't get
In
trouble.
Vegas?
Yeah.
You could get arrested for that if you're not in the right place.
That might be just the kind of story we need for the next podcast.
Or maybe this isn't
Hey,
that kind of show.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we are gonna try to do something live from Vegas, or at least take some videos.
Laurie,
and-
is there a
and post
chance that
them.
me and you can come in here next week and do something from here and just leave these guys out of it? Might be successful. Okay.
Probably would get more viewers than we do.
We want more Randy. Backed by popular demand.
Just set my bottle on the table and go to work.
There you go.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.